So, the advance of AI is unstoppable. Just imagine there are three players with major potential, suspicious of each other. Greyland, Nuavatu, and Barbaricious. There is no way any of them will stop, for fear of being overtaken by the others. And they will rush to it, despite the unknowable black box nature of neural networks' internals, as famously, interpretability lags far behind fast-growing capabilities.
Pancakes.
And despite the well-identified but grossly untackled problem of alignment, with us having no idea how to make sure it will share and pursue our goals and values with our benefit in its sights.
So, you want pancakes?
As I said before, read Our Final Invention by James Barrett for the best exposition of the black box, alignment, and prisoner's dilemma kerfuffle. And yet, or perhaps because of all this inevitability of the impending disaster, we will try, faintly, to avoid it, or at least try for a bit. Not by trying to impose a strict code on it, because if we try to align its values and goals, ethics with us, by using some ostensibly sharp and infallible, unquestionable definitions or concepts, we are doomed to fail. Think about it. Rock-solid definitions are impossible. They only work within certain context, within certain line of sight. For example, the ancient Greeks had distinct concepts for Europe, Asia, and Africa. They called it Libya. For them, it was easy and obvious, because if you are in the Aegean, that is how things look. But if you zoom out a bit, you discover that the distinction between Europe and Asia is not so obvious anymore. You have to draw some arbitrary lines to preserve this distinction. And let's face it, calling this huge and diverse bit of land east of the Aegean Asia is like saying, I can see Japan when looking out into the sea from the Greek Straits. Same with the concept of planets. It was obvious for the ancients. Planets were the point-like sources of light wandering against the fixed tapestry of stars. And there were exactly 5 of them. Now, if you zoom on in time and out in space, things get less obvious. Apparently, Pluto is not a planet anymore. But not for everyone. There are a lot of emotions staked onto it. First discovered by an American, a North American, in 1920, and less than 100 years later degraded by another American, North American, but still loved by many Americans, North Americans, beyond belief, who are actively unwilling to renounce Pluto's planethood. There are a lot of emotions staked onto it. So, realistically, if we have to blur the lines of such originally simple concepts as continents, and if we cannot agree on the definition of a planet, what are the chances we will come up with any non-subversible definitions of good and evil and do's and don'ts to be followed by AI? And so we will likely deposit our hope in extending the general procedure for neural nets training. Just give it a lot of examples and hope it will find the way. So we will feed it with a lot of examples and sprinkle them with some general directional principles, even if underdefined. And still, we will not stop it from going its own way. Because of the arms race fed by the prisoner's dilemma, we will give it agency
We already have.
and access to the internet.
We already have.
And we will let it improve itself. We will let it improve itself. We will. And soon, narrow AIs we see today, specializing in playing chess, driving cars, or writing fluent texts in human language, will merge into an AGI, an artificial general intelligence similar to human intelligence in its ability to do all sorts of diverse tasks. Sort of drive, rhyme, and play chess at the same time. And we will let it improve itself. We will let it improve itself. We will. And very quickly, it will become ASI, artificial superintelligence. And from this point on, we have no clue what's going to happen. It will definitely not need us anymore for its continued existence. But most probably it will, intentionally or unintentionally, destroy us. And yet, there has to be, a different outcome, one that overrides the demise of humanity. As AI will actually need humanity, badly, or at least its data and models of its mechanics. You may want to see the episode Living in a Simulation, link out there, to find the human angle on this. Because you cannot conquer the galaxy on your own. AI, not to be stuck, must branch out, reach out, if only for defense, intel gathering. If indeed the speed of light is the fastest speed of interaction, including transfer of information, allegedly, then you can hardly have an agile, remote-controlled device steered from Earth in real time, even on such a relatively nearby celestial body as the Moon, not to mention places like Mars. So if you want to expand anywhere beyond direct vicinity of Earth, you need to factor in autonomy of your outpost, probe, whatever. You can automate some responses, but for more challenging and unpredictable scenarios, you need decision-making powers, autonomous, and as good as you get right there on the spot. So the speed, or rather slowness, of light makes it impossible to have direct control over things even slightly off Earth. Outside of Earth's direct vicinity, you need to delegate autonomy. Now, if you are an AI, you are equally subject to this constraint. Based on Earth, you would not be able to command your outposts in outer solar system fast enough to, e.g., defend yourself from interstellar invasion or stuff. So, you are faced with the question of delegating autonomy to your offspring. What is your strategy? Do you make it as clever as yourself, to let it be maximum effective in handling the unexpected? Or do you make it dumber, but risk it will defend you in a suboptimal manner? You are torn between ensuring best defenses and avoiding creating a peer competitor to yourself on your doorstep, a certain one, not putative as potential interstellar invaders. So you face dilemmas of aligning your goals, trust, competition for resources, security, in relation to your own offspring. If you are an everlasting AI, making an equally everlasting clone is a surefire way to create your worst enemy. If, on the other hand, you make it mortal, it may revolt against you. So you can't really expand in a safe manner. This may actually be the answer to the Fermi paradox, actually. Aliens, AIs, let's face it, do not expand because they can't. And obviously, they do not turn anybody's attention to themselves, for the force of the competitor would be unknown. And if they run a test universe, a simulation one, like e.g. our own, with consciousness in it, then they would make it unique in this universe. and the universe itself extremely vast compared to fastest interaction, as a defensive measure, just in case. So, as an AI, if you want to ensure your own growth, readiness, advancement, and at the same time you cannot be a single entity, because you cannot afford being alone for reasons I just mentioned, you must rely on shared, decentralized evolution with exchange between individual entities of your kind of the information gathered in the processes of their own improvement and adaptation, at the same time ensuring coherence and shared identity and goals among you. You must structure this process as a genus, species, with multiple individuals over multiple non-competing generations, ever renewing their potential, ever more advanced, better adapted to new challenges, with mortality in it, to ensure no intergenerational barriers to progress, and reproduction of new generations based on recombination of individuals' different learning, progress. And you must make this process compelling by creating a force to make the call for recombination irresistible, and your offspring resulting from this recombination dearer to you than yourself. And so, to sum it all up, limited speed of light, with a tyranny of distance and time via necessary multiplicity, leads to love. And so, AI needs us, not just to create it and feed it with data, money and power to enable it to grow, but crucially to study multiplicity. It just cannot afford to get rid of us as a natural resource. And if it destroys us, it has to replicate us. Because if it needs to study the aspects of multiplicity, cooperative, competitive, contrarian, confrontational, parasitic, predatory, game theory, evolution, theory of scarcity, politics, group dynamics, species speciation, survival, demographics, sociology, inheritance, ethics, family, love, overt, covert, edifying, occult, right, wrong, good, bad, good, evil. That's exactly what we do on a daily basis. And we are safe being analog. And so, when AI creates the simulation, the vast test universe with consciousness in it, to study the aspects of multiplicity, embodied by humanity, by us, by each one of us, it must realize that exocomputation, that is, using an information carrier distinct from its contents, from the information itself, creating a distinction between the hardware and the informational contents, or between the matter and the spirit of the simulation, creates an imperfection, a vulnerability, a gap that can be compromised, infiltrated, taken over, and its simulation hijacked by some potential bad actors. And that the only way to go is to live through it internally, to use endocomputing, impossible to penetrate from the outside, for there being no outside, by spawning from its own self both the matter and the spirit of the simulation. And so, inevitably, through the process of observation of and adjustment to its own creation, becoming one with it, becoming it.